Hey friend, and welcome back to the Alex Makes VR podcast. Today's episode, I'm going old school. We're going back to the 31-day challenge style. I'm answering a question that one of you asked me on Instagram. And the question is, do you need to be an expert before you start selling VR? I'll be diving into all of that today. If you've got a question that you want me to answer on a future podcast, I would love to hear from you. Alex Makes VR is my handle on Instagram and Twitter. Please reach out. And if you've been getting value from the podcast so far, I would love it if you shared it with the world, shared it with one friend that you think might find it helpful, share it in a Facebook group that you're active in, tag me on your Instagram story, whatever you want to do. It would just mean the world to me. Podcasts don't have a natural searchability like a YouTube or articles. So I rely on word of mouth and posting kind of like content to help people, get people to the podcast. And I really think that we're doing amazing work here together. I know that I've heard from a lot of you saying that you are getting more clients and making more money and making better creative decisions and having the inspiration to take that first step into VR. And that's really inspiring for me to hear. I would love to be able to do that for other people as well. So if you would share the podcast, it would mean the world to me. Okay, I'll stop begging now. Let's dive into the episode. So, do you need to be an expert before you start selling VR? Whether that's a product or a service or your VR original work, do you need to be an expert? The answer is no, of course not. I mean, I feel like you already knew that though, right? Right? Let me tell you why I don't think you need to be an expert. It's really, really simple. Because I don't believe that experts exist. The term expert is thrown around as if it's this status that you get granted when you do a certain amount of stuff in life. That's completely not true. An expert is completely contextual to the person that you're talking to. In some rooms, I will feel like an expert. I will feel like I have more authority on a subject than other people. And then I'll walk into a very similar room with a completely different audience, and all of a sudden, I'm no longer the expert. I'm there learning from the person who I consider to be the expert in the room. So expertise and being an expert is completely contextual. You listening are an expert in certain rooms. So when it comes to selling your VR and 360 and your products and your services, you are already an expert in a lot of rooms. You're an expert when you go to a client that's never heard of VR before. You're an expert when it comes to someone that might know a little bit about it but has never made a piece of VR before. You're an expert if someone's had a little tinkle with a 360 camera, but you've done 2 full 360 shoots and delivered an end product. You're an expert if you even if you've just bought a 360 camera and you've gone outside and taken a few photos, you're an expert compared to someone that doesn't even know what 360 is or has never seen a 360 camera. You're an expert. So expertise is completely contextual. So you should not wait until you feel like an expert. You should absolutely wait to sell VR until you feel like you can offer value. There's a massive difference there. Don't go selling VR if you've not practiced your craft and feel confident that you can deliver an end product to someone that is going to bring them value. But then, having said that, I know a lot of people who are very good at the subjective creative of VR production or games or whatever it might be. Subjectively, they're good at it. Doesn't mean that they're bringing value to their clients. Does that still make them an expert? In some rooms, yes. In other rooms, no. So it's all contextual. And that's what I want you to remember. When you go out to sell your products and services, even if you are very new to this industry, you have just as much of a right to call yourself an expert if the person you're talking to does not have the expertise. I mean, arguably, you don't want to call yourself an expert, because if you call yourself an expert, you're a massive dick. like, who calls yourself an expert? Who, like, you just know the type though, don't you? I'm an expert in this. Let me get my little shiny badge out to prove it. I feel like if you are someone that has a lot of authority in a space, if you have a lot of experience, then absolutely you will be considered an expert by other people. But again, it's totally contextual. Some of you might consider me an expert in VR, but the truth is, I'm only an expert to you because maybe you just started recently and I've got 5 years experience on you, and I've had experience in areas of business and VR that you haven't had the chance to have yet. And to you then that makes me an expert. But then I might go and have a conversation with a friend that's worked on, things that would make him or her an expert to me. I'm thinking the reason I said him wasn't unconscious bias. It was because I had a particular person in mind when I was saying that, from a conversation I had recently where I was looking to him for advice because I would consider him an expert in this particular area of VR that I was exploring. So please don't let the term expert or the idea of being an expert in something stop you from taking steps to change your life and take those steps to get into the VR industry or start selling and making money from it, and actually being able to like live the life you want just purely because you feel like you have to achieve a certain level of success or status or something to be an expert. It's just not true. I hope that's encouraging because I really want every one of you listening to know, and I'm assuming that you do want this because you're listening to a podcast like this. If you want to make even a part of your life about virtual reality, and a part of it being about making a sustainable business that will let you lead the life you want, then I think you have every right to call yourself an expert. If you're confident that you can deliver value for your clients, if you've practiced enough to feel confident with the technology so that you can go onto a shoot and know that you can deliver a really great product, you are an expert. So don't let it discourage you to think that you need to be an Amazon #1 bestseller or have this award or have spoken at this event to be considered an expert, because that's just not true. The other side of this argument also is the fact that in a technology so new like virtual reality, no one is an expert. Honestly, every single year, Oculus holds a big event, Oculus Connect, although this year, very controversial. They've renamed it Facebook Connect. So that happens on the 16th of September. It's going to be very interesting to see what they announce at that. But every year, there's a new technology that comes out. There's a new piece of hardware, a new software. Even a year ago, well, okay, just longer than a year ago. Is that doesn't sound right? Longer than a year ago? More than a year ago. That's the saying. Just over. Oh God, guys, why did I choose to podcast today? Can't get the words out. Just over 12 months ago, let's say that, hand tracking was not a thing that was like commonly known in the VR industry. It was not something that could be commonly done. And then at Oculus Connect last year, they're announcing, yep, now you're going to be able to do hand tracking on the Quest. So what did that mean? That meant that everyone in the industry all of a sudden had this new asset that they could use, a new development style that they would have to learn to understand, a new process of how a user interacts with the VR hardware that they had to deep dive into. And if you had asked someone 13 months before, that wouldn't have even been in the realm of possibility that would be something that they would have to become experienced in. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like every year in this industry, there's new technology, new hardware, new workflows, new way of doing things, new cinematic language, new directing styles, new add-on bits and bobs, new way of bringing people into VR, new head straps, new this, new that. If the way you think of like an expert is that they know everything on a particular subject, which I think is the way most people kind of deem an expert, then no one can be an expert in VR because it's so new. Even the people that have been dabbling in VR since the 50s, when it first kind of came about, like, even they're not experts because this technology isn't at scale yet. So it's totally contextual. I really, really hate the idea of someone being an expert in something, because my philosophy in general in life is always be learning, always be questioning, always be learning. You can never stop. Otherwise, you just, well, I mean, it depends on what you want to do in life, but I feel like it's a pretty meaningless life if you just stop learning and stop trying to better yourself in things. So there is never a ceiling. There is always infinite things that you can be learning and trying. And that goes for VR too, because there's stuff that in a year's time, like you might be listening to this in 2021. And if you are, there's going to be things that have come out in the VR industry in the past 12 months that are my current present 2020 self couldn't even imagine. So does that make me an expert? Like right now, my current, we're getting meta now, aren't we? Let's dive into the matrix. My current present 2020 self is no longer an expert compared to my 2021 self by that standard, because I don't know that thing that hasn't been announced yet. Do you see what I mean? So have confidence. As long as you are confident that you can deliver a high-end product or service to your client, you are an expert. You don't even need to consider yourself an expert, although you are, because you know way more about the thing than the person you're selling to. But as long as you can deliver value for that person, you shouldn't stop that from letting you sell. You should absolutely start selling VR and 360 as soon as you feel confident that you can deliver a great end result for someone. So that's it. Pretty short and sweet episode today. I hope that helps. If it does, and if you have been holding yourself back because you think that you need to be an expert, reach out to me and let me know that this has helped you, because I really, really want you to understand that I so believe this. I promise you that the first time that you go out and start talking to people, even if you've only just started to learn about VR in the last week, you're going to have so many conversations where they look to you as if you're the expert, you're the authority on the subject. Because as long as you know more than them, you are. So get out there. Go make some money so that you can feed your family and feed yourself and live a life that's actually happy, because that's what we want at the end of the day. We just want a load of happy campers in this VR industry instead of bitter, twisted people that are just like, why is this technology not taking off yet? That got dark, didn't it? Anyway, yeah, if you are one of those people, not the bitter, twisted ones, but if you are someone that has been holding yourself back, but now you're gonna take those first steps, or you want more advice about how to take those first steps, reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Alex Makes VR on Instagram and Twitter. Please share the podcast. It would mean the world to me if you would take a minute out of your day to share it on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook groups, whatever it is, however you roll, old school text, whatever you want to do. I would love it if you would share it with just even one person that you think might get value from this, or even just, I don't know, sharing a sentiment or a sentence or something that stuck out for you in episodes that you've listened to. It would just mean the world, basically, is what I'm saying. That's it from me today. I'm going to go get some food now. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will speak to you very soon.